Welcome to Daily Tax Savings. This is Tony Novak here to share a few points on saving taxes and staying out of tax trouble. Today's topic is tax debt before marriage. And I think that most people recognize the general concept that when we get married, we don't assume our partner's debt. If it was individual debt before, it remains individual debt. Of course, if you have joint accounts or joint assets, they can be affected, but you don't automatically assume and become responsible for spouse's debt that existed prior to the marriage. That's true in tax and it's true in general contract law. But I ran into a situation, a little bit of a sad situation, where a new spouse actually did suffer an economic consequence of a tax debt before marriage. And in this case, I'm looking into its 2013 debt, which normally might be beyond the statute of limitations, but I don't know because I don't have the details. We did not know, or at least I did not know, that there was debt existing that long ago for one of the persons when they were single. But what happened was they filed a more recent tax return, and I was pretty happy with the results. I was able to get them a refund and a tax credit of a substantial amount. And instead of getting that, and it stemmed from a business tax return owned jointly by the two spouses. That's why that's important to the story. So normally that would be a benefit to both of them in their new business as a married couple. But instead of sending a check, IRS applied the credit to a year prior to marriage of one of the spouses that had a tax debt. And like I said, it took us by surprise. I didn't even know that was coming. And here's a rare situation where it doesn't normally happen, but here's a situation where a spouse working hard, trying to minimize taxes in their business in the current year, thinks they're getting a tax refund and instead got applied to the prior year for the single taxpayer. And so we'll look into it and find out what's going on. Would love to hear your thoughts or comments, feedback. My point in sharing this example, by the way, is that it's rare. It doesn't usually happen. I get a lot of calls and requests about innocent spouse claims, but it's not as common as people fear. So, but would love to hear your stories or experiences, particularly if they differ from my comment that this is an uncommon situation. Otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow with another Tax Savings Minute.